Hello crafty cuties and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about 10 different embellishments that you can make, and I think that we should get right into it because we have a lot to cover. Okay, so you have a few options for what you can use to foil with. First of all, you can use these foam mats that have an adhesive backing, and you can find this at the craft store, and it's actually usually in the kids section. It's sold in packs of like 100. Also, if you can find this pack of matte stack brights, it has adhesive on the back and it's basically a cardstock. And then the third thing is basically shipping labels, and this is just a full sheet with adhesive on the back. Now, this video hasn't really gone as planned because I was hoping to have something in the mail, which is a Deco adhesive foam, and it actually would be the best option, and you can either get it at Hobby Lobby or online. I will have a link below, and I highly recommend getting it because it's going to work much better for your punches and die cuts. But let's just work with what we have today. And of course you're going to need the foil, and this is the Minc Foil by Heide Swapp. This is the only kind that I've used, but this is really easy to get at craft stores or online as well. So you're going to start out by either cutting shapes out or using your die cutting machine like I did for this fence and for this hello. And if you wanted to use your punches, you can use, different shapes that you have, or you can even cut out shapes if you want something very specific. So start out with a piece of your foil that's going to match the shape you're using. And keep in mind that if you are doing die cuts, go ahead and make sure the adhesive side is up. Remove the adhesive and you're going to put it face down on the back of your foil. And there's other ways that you can do foiling too, like using pigment ink and other adhesives, but these are the only ways that I have tried. And you will see the image kind of come through, and then you can just simply pull it off. And I would say that the foam that you can get in the kids section actually works the best, but again, the Deco adhesive foam works actually almost perfect. So here I have used all three of the different options. Now it's a little hard to see these on camera, but just for a little final thoughts, I definitely think that the foam adhesive is the best. This is the shipping label, and this one is the adhesive cardstock. And of course, depending what look you're going for, I think that all of these add a really nice touch. I will have pictures of the Deco foil adhesive just so you can see how much better it is. And let's move on to the next. So here is everything that you will need. You're going to need some bottle caps, and you're going to need some magnets, and then the rest is up to you. I recommend using scrap paper, some Modge Podge and glossy accents, and then anything that you have in your stash that you would like to incorporate. So I'm starting off really simple here. I'm just going to use some scrap paper. So start out by adhering your magnet to the back, and a really cute little fox eraser that I have a ton of that I got from Target. I'm going to start out by putting some Modge Podge on the bottom. And the different options for these are endless. So for these, you are just going to need some paper, and I am using 1.5 inches by 12-inch strip. And then you're going to need 2 circles, one for the back and one for the front. And you just start out by folding this accordion style. So now go ahead and glue the 2 ends together right here. So now you just have to press down in the center, turn it over, and add your circle that goes on the back. I almost said square. And then you can decorate the front. So let me quickly show you 3 different ways that you can make your own enamel dots. And the first is using a hot glue gun. You want to let these dry about 30 minutes before using nail polish or acrylic paint. You can also use glossy accents, and you want to let these dry fully before painting. The third idea is my favorite right here, and it's with a button. You're just going to take some scrap paper, your button, and the glossy accents, and you just want to cut out a circle that will fit inside of the button, and you're going to use glossy accents underneath and on top, and there you go. And you can attach these to your projects using a glue dot or glue. Okay, so you're going to need some yarn or floss string. You're going to have an additional string that's about 4 inches long, and then you're going to want either a loop or a paper clip depending on how you want to make yours. And then you'll need scissors as well. So just put it around your loop like so, and then all you have to do is tie your other string around the top here, and then you can trim the edges so they are all the same length. And that's all there is to it, guys. Isn't that easy? I want to make tassels for everything. So isn't that so cute? And I got the loop just from some old jewelry. So for the paper clip, I basically just kind of pulled it apart a bit, and I'm going to slide my strings down just like so. You do want to make sure to have it on the side that only has one loop. And there you go. For these sewn banners, all you're going to need is either a punch or scrap paper, and you're going to need thread and a needle. And you can make so many different banners. I love how these turned out. So you are going to need some watercolor paper or cardstock. You're going to need paint. You can use acrylic paint, or I am using gouache, I believe it's pronounced, watercolor paint. You're going to need some shaving cream and a shallow dish to put it in, and then you'll need something like a squeegee, or I'm just using this because that's what I have, and something like a toothpick or a skewer. So just start with an even layer of shaving cream, and then you're going to put the paint over top, and you can use as many colors as you would like, and then use your skewer or your toothpick to kind of drag the colors in between each other, if that makes sense. And then all you have left to do is put your paper on top of the mixture and just press down and pull it up. Now you do want to make sure to use like a ruler or squeegee and scrape off all of the shaving cream. At first I thought I did it wrong, but you really have to make sure to get all of the shaving cream off, and you will be left with some really pretty marbled paper. So here's another cool way of embellishing your paper or envelopes using scraps that you have. You want to start out with some cardstock, or I just used journaling cards that I didn't really like, and use some punches of any shapes, but I think circles work best. And then simply just glue the punches on, and you can see here how I'm doing it. It's really, really easy, but I love how it looked. And I actually added like a border to one that you'll see here in a moment, and I really loved it. You could use these as journaling cards or pocket letter inserts. And I did try making one with these fringe punches that I had, but it was a little too busy for me, but still fun. So you are just going to need 3 flowers that have 6 petals each, and obviously by looking at mine they do not need to be perfect, but do make the 3 flowers be the same. And then just to give you a little tip here, if you're having trouble getting a shape, start out with a circle. I'm using a 3-inch circle, and just divide it into 6 quadrants that are close to equal. And then you're going to need a circle for the bottom. Mine's a 1.5-inch circle. You'll need some scissors, either a bone knife or just a pencil, and then a hot glue gun, and anything that you want to decorate these flowers with. I do recommend using distress ink for the edges if you are going for a vintage look. You're going to take one of the flowers and slit down to the middle. Take the next one, and you are going to cut one of the petals completely off. And then on this last one, you're going to cut off 2 of the petals. So go ahead and start with your full flower, and you are going to put some glue on one of the edges here and just fold it over like so. So it's like a cone. Then you're basically going to repeat the same thing for all of the flowers. So So when you get down to the 1 and 2 petaled flowers, go ahead and this is where you will take your pencil and you can just roll it around, give it a nice curvature. So now go ahead and take either your pencil or your bone knife and you're going to curve all of the petals outward. And now all that's left to do is to fit these inside one another using your hot glue. So I almost forgot to mention that you do want to cut a little slit on the bottom here. So you can just kind of pinch it together here. Basically you're just going to cut that corner off there. And then just go ahead and take your round piece and that's what you can use to kind of cover up the bottom. So you'll just need some scrap paper, scissors, and glue, and of course a paper clip if you're wanting to make this into a paper clip. You'll need a 1.5 by 1.5 inch square. And go ahead and just fold diagonally both ways. Now go ahead and cut on those score lines almost all the way into the center, but not quite. You're just going to glue the corner into the center of the next flap. And I'm going to use hot glue gun just because I feel that it does hold the best. And then you're just going to go ahead and glue it to your paper clip. Paper clips are one of my favorite ways to embellish things, and they are so easy to make. You can turn almost anything into a paper clip these days. Banana paper clip, anyone? Well, crafty cuties, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if there's anything that you have requested of me or if there's anything I can do to improve videos like these. I know that they end up being long and quite a bit of information, so maybe in the future I will just show you ideas rather than showing you how to, but I would love your feedback, so let me know and I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.